You are live. And wow, we have a lot of registrations today and many coming into the room. Yes. Oh my God. Hello, everybody. Would you mind letting me know if you can hear and see me and whether the sound is okay? If you just write shortly into the chat and let me know where you're from. Very excited to see that. From Florida, Ishwana, Simon. Very cool. Yes, it's working. Good. I'm alone today. The whole company, the whole family, Sabrina, Deborah, Manuel, Benjamin, everybody in bed with high fever and serious body pain. So they caught the infection. I'm not naming anything, but they are definitely going through that building of immunity. And I'll talk about that in our presentation today. Oh my God. Hello, hello, hello. From Florida. That's too fast. It's moving down. California. UK. Ooh, late night there. I'm sorry for that. We have a recording for this in case it goes too long, but yeah, I'm very grateful for you to show up. I'm very passionate about ozone. And when I prepared for this webinar, I looked through and then I realized it's 10 years of the O3 Academy. The first videos that I published on YouTube about that was 10 years ago. And then the website building and everything. And then I checked, I have 48 presentations on ozone. 48. You know, like I thought, which one do I pick? And I thought, nah, I'm not. I'm going all fresh and really build out based on all the questions that we received over the past 10 years, the feedback that we received, all the clients that used it successfully. So I'll try to build everything in so that it's far more practical and easy for you to apply. And I'm really happy to have you all here. Colombia, Philippines, Perth, Santa Lucia. Oh, really beautiful. So let's get started. We're talking today about ozone treatment, but I will, and that's why I sent you the link to hypothermia, also add quite a bit of information on in regards to fever and why our body reacts to certain infections with certain responses, so that we understand where they come from when we use wipes and disinfectants, what they actually treat and what they do not treat, so that you can make informed decisions. And I think you're all very aware. Let me just go shortly down, stop slide presentation. You can see me here in my van with my bananas in the back, organic bananas. Yeah, we are heading into a time which is unparalleled. And I think many of you know that it's not about a virus at all anymore. It's like a political agenda, and it rolls out in waves in every country around the world. Everybody needs to stand up their own ground, stand and develop their own autonomy. And that's why understanding how to help yourself, how to build a healing environment at home, how to fend off certain influences that come from the outside, like infections, like bacterial overgrowth, like mold, to understand how to do that and not rely on a doctor, not rely on medicine, not rely on someone to tell you, but you understanding it and knowing what to do is, in my opinion, one of the most important factors that we need to address. And that's why our upcoming webinars, the coaching webinar, this webinar about ozone, the next one, which is about PMF and hypothermia again, I will make them as practical as possible so that we can give you really ground tools to work well with your home clinic or with your home environment and make that a success. So today we look at all infections, but I would like to do the disclaimer because I never do that. And now we are in trouble for it. So let me just put that first. We do not take any responsibility for what you do with the information provided on Truly Heal or videos or post or text or webinars, because we do not know the state of your health, previous treatment and circumstances. We do not know whether you watch the training or turn it off. And you have no clue how many questions I get from clients that just watch the first 10 minutes and then ask me. And if I don't get an answer, they do it on their own. So because we do not know, if you ignore the information, the warning signs and everything, we do not take any responsibility. What we do, and this is quite important for us, we share you how we treat ourselves. And we show you how doctors treat their patients in their clinics and why they do so. See, the whole principle started by learning from doctors what they do, then sharing that and trying it out ourselves. And then we did it with more and more clients, with more and more people around the world. And we realized how great their results are. So that's what we show you. We don't tell you to do the same thing. But if it makes sense to you and you feel like, yes, this is actually something that I can understand logically and I would like to implement, then do so. But go through and check the contraindications list, the side effect list, look whether it's suitable, look whether you actually have the problem that would help with those treatments, so that you do not just do something because I told you so. That's not right. Now, when we look at ozone, you've seen that map. It's actually my flower power map, and I'm in love with it, so I'll just keep it. It's the map that shows which areas ozone is relevant. So if you see the red circles, like stress, not really an influence. If you keep watching TV and news all day long and the war and drama, then that is something you need to decide on your own. Whether you do ozone treatment or not won't have an influence. The same with your purpose, the same with lifestyle or with pH balance. It helps, but it doesn't do the whole lot. Deficiencies is still based on nutrients. Diet is still based on what you eat and what you surround yourself with. And toxins of heavy metals, it has no influence. But then look at the green dots. You know, when we start out, oxygenation, it's one of the key elements to prime your red blood cells and to increase your oxygen utilization. We'll talk about that. Then hormones. It regulates your hormonal system. It is used as a cancer treatment, but again, in different forms, and we'll talk about that. It is massive for infections, and that's why we do the webinar today. It is very good to lower your inflammation. It is perfect to heal your gut, leaky gut, from all the glyphosate, from all the tight junctions that are broken. It repairs those, and it's very good for plastic toxicity and chemical toxicity to break down in your system. So, and it's used for dental treatments. That's why I'm in love with ozone, because it covers so many different areas that are relevant, and that's why we do it. Now, before we go, and I will look at the chat in a moment and your questions so that we can do it very interactive today. But what I want you to understand, and this is pretty much the principle of today's lecture, the milieu, and a goldfish is a sweetwater fish, in case you don't know that. So if I drop that into a saltwater tank where Nemo and Dory and all those fish live, then it dies because the environment is not suitable for a goldfish. The same way, if I have a goldfish tank and I put a Dory in there, they die because they need another environment. Infections have a certain kind of milieu they like. And if the milieu is conducive for that infection, then they thrive and they explode and become big. If it's not, then they flare out and die out very fast. And that's what you see when somebody goes through an infection, they have a massive fever, and then it goes away, and that's it. And others struggle with it. So the environment is more conducive to that. And that's what we try to change with ozone. We're not trying to sterilize the body. We're actually changing the environment, and friendly environment. And I call infection friendly means you can get infections easily. And look at the images. That policeman up on top, look what he was eating and drinking, and now he's sleeping. And that's similar to you. Think about, you eat and drink, and then what do you want to do after your food? Oh, go and have a nap. You're so heavy. You're so tired. That's representing the same for your immune system. So dependent on your diet, dependent on your lifestyle, dependent on Oxygen environment, the top left, top right picture is anaerobic, not enough oxygen. You know, staying indoors, stale air, no fresh air moving through, no ventilators that activate and recharge the air. All of those things are relevant. If you don't move enough, if you don't have at least a heart rate, going up at least once a day from walking upstairs or something, so that you oxygenate and increase the blood flow. And then deficiency. Look at this little sucker sucking out everything that is there from other organs. See, your body will always try to maintain a certain milieu of environment in the blood. That's why it sucks it out of the bones. It sucks it out of the liver, out of all the organs to have the perfect amount in the blood. That's why when your doctor does a normal blood test, it's all perfect, right? You're so good. Oh, your blood values are really nice. And they're not, because you suck everything out of organs if you're deficient. And that's what this is. Toxicity. We all know that we live in a toxic world, but how many of you really care to sort all the crap out, throw everything out that is not relevant, that is toxic? Read the labels. Stress, well, that's your own fault. There is nothing, no treatment that can do anything for that. And then I'm hiding my little inflamed sucker. That is, where can I move myself? I move myself to the other side, and now I cover the text. Okay, top right. Yeah, inflammation. Inflammation is an end result of not enough nutrients, of too much toxicity, of too much deficiency, of not enough oxygen. All of that causes inflammation. So that's always an end result. And you can see the list. If that's my predominant state, then I will invite infections to breed in my body like a stagnant pond. A pond that has no water running in and out will go foul, and then it starts to be smelly, and then it starts to breed all this parasites and all the algae and everything. You just cut a little bit of a river in and an outflow, and within a few days, the oxygen flow, the energy flow that goes through clears that pond out. Same with us. And that's why hostile environment for infections is to be well rested instead of stressed, well oxygenated, alkaline, loaded with antioxidants, filled with essential minerals and vitamins, good blood circulation, exercise. And don't think you need to go into a fitness gym or something. Just walking daily, half an hour walk, just slightly up a hill and back down. You will see it does miracles to your health. And it actually feels good to be out in fresh air. Good blood circulation, that opens automatically your detox pathways. Sweating is actually really good. I'm in tropical North Queensland right now, and I know what sweating means. Alert immune police, and that means they are primed, they are activated, they are charged. And availability of immune modulators, which is like vitamin C and all those things that you take to support. And then few comorbidities. Now, I will come back to this image. You see catalase, glutathione peroxidase, and superoxidase dismutase, SOD. There's a whole lot more that are triggered by ozone. So if you do a rectal ozone insufflation, then your body says, oh, we need more of those. And I show you in a moment the research study. It triggers a whole vast array of different heat shock proteins and antioxidants in your body, produced by every single cell itself to protect your body from infection. So that's why this is such an important treatment. Now, today I'm going to break down, I always said pathogens, and then it's all of them. But today I'll break it down into the individual to really give you a little bit of a better understanding why certain infections can be treated with wipes and disinfectants and others not. So just checking the chat. Are we still typo? Okay. All right. You're still there. Everything is still working. Yes, actually, the subject on what to do decides which bottles gas. Okay. I'll go to all of those questions. Please turn the sound up. How do I do that? That's your end. You need to do the speaker louder. My microphone is full on. Turn audio off. Turn audio on. Can you hear me now? I don't think I can manipulate my microphone or make that louder or less. Can everybody else hear me? Are you in delay? Yes, loud and clear. Thank you. Good. It's always a little bit of a delay. That's why I'm not sure that you're still there. Good, good, good. All perfect. Thank you. Okay, bacteria. Let's look at bacteria first, because this is something that a lot of people don't differentiate between the different pathogens. Bacteria can get into your body in tiny amounts. Let's say you have a splinter and the splinter gets in, and then the bacteria around that little splinter stick or whatever it was will then infect. And then you get that round circle around. That's bacteria that gone into the body, and then the body sends interleukin out. Your damaged cells create interleukin. They activate a higher blood flow to that area so that more blood gets into that area. That's why it gets red and inflamed. And that means more white blood cells and more to fend off locally the infection. Now, that's the same with a tick bite. That's the same with infected tooth. It's a local infection always first. Now, when that grows and is unchecked and falls on fertile ground, dry, acidic, low blood circulation, already infected, high toxicity, inflamed, stressed, if that's the environment like, then they will start to be able to breed. And think about a tick is a tiny tick. It has a few hundred bacteria that get into the body, and then they find a hostile, fertile ground to start breeding. Small amounts of bacteria that enter your body that your body can't fend off in the initial state start to replicate. They use you as a resource. The process is usually slow and sneaks in undetected until the symptoms show the infection at an advanced state. And those of you who have then a diagnosis of papilloma or have that's a virus, sorry, of Lyme disease or any bacterial infection, you know that it came very late. It's already caused a lot of damage. A friend of mine, ALS, where the nervous system was eaten up by bacteria from his dental process and stomach and esophagus bacteria that crossed the blood-brain barrier and then destroyed the nervous system. So bacteria cause damage, but they do it slowly and sneakily. They steal your resources. That's why when you come to a clinic that deals with infections like Lyme disease, they need to restore a lot of those nutrients like amino acids, what Dr. Rao said. A lot of the vegetarians that are already depleted then have even worse because those bacteria use up a lot of those resources. They destroy your cells, your nervous system, and whole systems like the detox system. They produce a lot of toxic waste, which is what we call neurotoxins, and they multiply if unchecked and take over, which is when you die and you stop oxygenating your blood and the blood circulation brings oxygen into your system, then the bacteria take over and you decompose. And that's why it is so important that oxygen level and the blood circulation. It's like Dr. Lee Erin Connelly said in our documentary, exercise is like chemotherapy. It's the most important, that oxygen uptake, oxygen utilization, and preparation. So, which treatment works for systemic? This time I've put it together. Rectal. I get so many people asking me, can I drink ozone water for my system? Does that upregulate NRF2 as well? No. The only way to treat yourself systemically with ozone at home is via rectal insufflations. That is the only way you can do it. It is the only form of application that does not require direct contact with blood. Okay. A doctor in a clinic can do major autohemotherapy, hyperbaric multipass therapy. these methods work faster, and I totally agree. I had a few, and I loved each of them. You know, like you have such a massive boost with that die-off and upregulation of NRF2. It is phenomenal, but it is also expensive, and it takes you to go to a doctor. Well, even find one that does it. In America, it's easier. Here in Australia, ozone has been totally eradicated. Every doctor that advertised it lost license. Now they don't do anymore. They are too worried. And it's a real witch hunt. Even Germany, which has 50 years of history in ozone treatments, doctors are prosecuted and naturopaths are in trouble if they use it. So it's a witch hunt because it works so phenomenally. They don't want this treatment to steal the show. And you know what the show or the agenda of this whole thing is. So if you have the possibility to do major autohemotherapy, multipass, direct injections of ozone into the skin, into the area that is infected, it works far better. It is not a miracle treatment. It won't do anything in a very, very short time. It takes time because it changes the milieu, it changes the environment. But if you do rectal insufflations on an ongoing basis, calculate, and I say it exactly how it was with myself. I stopped after 2 weeks. Nothing happens. I complained with Dr. Schallenberger, and I never forget, I said to him, I've tried it so many times, I don't feel a single thing. He just laughed and said, you haven't done it long enough. The only way to really have an effect with ozone is if you keep going until the effect set in. And the reason is the following, and he explained that really well. He said your body starts repairing things that you don't even know that are out of whack. Inflammation in your joints, then there will be inflammation in your eyes. You might have an infection latent in your ear. You might have all sorts of problems that you are not really aware of because they are not primarily at the forefront. You look at one problem that you want gone, and that's why you're not aware of what happens. Ozone cleans up in a way, and that's what a lot of the German doctors, especially the anthroposophical doctors, said. It cleans up like an onion backwards. It peels back all layers of infection, all layers of toxicity, all layers of oxygen deprivation, and stimulates those areas and then builds up. So if you do it, keep doing it. 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I had my big breakthrough when all of a sudden all my gut problems completely disappeared after 8 weeks. And I think I pat myself still on the shoulder that I was so diligent because I wanted to give up so many times, but I'm happy I pulled through. So just keep going. Or if you have a doctor and you don't want to wait that long, have 2 or 3 multipass treatments first and then go into rectal and you'll see it works. Okay? Systemically, only a rectal, not even ozone water does that. Now, that brings me to another question that I'm always all the time. Does it kill my good bacteria? How does it work? Do I get a lot of ozone into my bloodstream? Does the ozone work in the blood? You know, we're not here to sterilize the body. We're not sterilizing anything. We're not working against antioxidants, for example, in vitamin C. What you do with a rectal insufflation, you can see that little blue dot at your rectum. That is, if you use 250 milliliters, then probably it's not even that much. It's just a short blow of ozone in there that causes around the mucous membrane, you know, which is the same as you have inside your nose, the same as you have inside your mouth, in your esophagus, all the mucous membrane. That's when you have the intense reaction. This reaction happens within a fraction of a second, 2 seconds. The ozone oxidizes bacteria, stimulates the immune system, causes the whole upregulation of NRF2, and that's it. And I'll explain the NRF2 factor in a moment. But it really does it in a very, very short and precise way. And then it's oxygen. The fart that you let go afterwards, when you had that in for 2 minutes, is oxygen. So it's not ozone anymore. It reacts instantly with the mucous membrane. Now, in regards to recolonization, As soon as you move and you do a 2-minute walk, the stool slips back out of the colon, back down into the rectum, and you're recolonized. So there is no destruction of good bacteria or anything. We're not sterilizing the body. We're causing a very short oxidative reaction in one of the mucous membranes that is directly linked to the liver. And you can see here, that's why I made it blue. You see the blue blood vessels, they are all going directly through the portal vein into the liver. And that's where then this is your pharmacy. Your liver is the pharmacy of your body, producing all the chemical reactions. And that's why when we use the rectum, or you use a suppository or anything in the rectum, it is the shortest pathway without digestive acids, without anything else in the way, directly into the liver. And that's why it works. So when you do an insufflation, it is totally harmless. It has no negative side effects, but it upregulates NRF2 and all the oxidative producing functions that we need to deal with. Now, coming back to bacteria, but this time local. You have a stitch, you have an infected wound, a dirty splinter, breast implants that are infected, like all sorts. Then you will see you have first the increased blood flow, which is the reddening around that area to send more immune system there. And the widening of the blood vessels allow more white blood cells, more oxygen, more nutrients to the repair job. And also detoxification of the debris is greatly enhanced. So if you have local, you want to treat local. If you can access the area and you can support it, that's when you then go and wash out with ozone water. And, ozone has one massive attribute. It prevents scarring. That's why they use it in beauty therapies to remove scars when they had lifting and everything. They use ozone injections to remove the scars. There is no scarring. So when you have children and they fall and they scrape and they have dirty knees, instead of using any toxins or creams or antibiotics or anything, just use ozone water, spray it on, wash it out. Then you use ozone oil over the top. Just use any of the gooey, sticky ones, the high POI, like the hemp or the safflower, and put that on. And that will then sterilize and keep the wound clean, oxygenated, so that all the oxygen can get into the cells, start your immune system in that area, activate it, and then in no time it's gone. For those of you who treat like deep-seated problems, like a deep wound or toenail fungus or something like that, you want to really soak for 20 minutes in ozone water. Like wiggle your toes so that they're really, like those ripples in your fingers that that you've been long enough in the bathtub. That's the same. And then bag them into an ozone bag. The smaller the bag, the more intense you get the ozone. And then blow ozone directly onto that area. It needs to be wet, because if it's dry, it causes itching and irritation. Always use wet. That's why it's so much easier. And then put ozone oil on. And the whole thing is completely cool to use. It may take a few days, but then it's gone and doesn't leave any scars. So it's really the best. And if you combine that with a systemic, your whole system upregulating your antioxidants, then you get double whammy. You get external treatment, killing off bacteria, fungi, mold, candida, whatever. But you also get from internally an immunity. Your system becomes immune to reinfections. And that's why it works so well. And I see you're all writing so much. I'll go through in a moment as soon as we've done the first part. Okay, local use. And we use it for sexually transmitted diseases. You can really, if you have bacterial, if you have fungal infection, if you have anything, you can bag it, soak it with ozone water, then bag it, and then use ozone oil. Jojoba, for example, or coconut is absorbing very fast and is not that sticky. So you can do that. Again, boost the immune system with an internal insufflation. There is no limit. The external use by using first water to flush out, to wash out, to rinse, to soak, then use ozone oil or use ozone bagging first, which is really a high concentration because you go up with bagging to the highest level at 90% ozone, 90 milligrams of ozone per liter. So it's a high, very intense concentration that kills off all germs, everything that is there. And then you put the oil on as a protection and to maintain the power within the wound to heal and to remove any scars. Again, rectal, just as a systemic boost, bagging. Now, whether that's ear infection or sinus infection or mouth, and I'll talk about sinus in a moment, mouth, eye, vaginal, all of those can be treated. And because I don't want to show you how to fill a syringe, I've done that so many times. It's all on the website. You'll find it there, how to make ozone water, how to do rectal and vaginal insufflations. All of those videos are there. How to make eye drops that you can use the whole day. Really powerful. And this video with Dr. Schallenberger about the multipass treatment is also back on. I managed to rescue that from deletion. They deleted that from YouTube, but we've put it back up under a different name and as private. Ozone oils I explained there as well, so don't hesitate to check that out. Now, the next pathogen I would like to talk about is mold. And many of you are unaware how all-pervasive mold is. I go into so many offices and workplaces and people's house, and just by walking in, I go like, oh my God. And when you learn to smell it and you come from fresh air, it is so distinct. But the problem is mold kills your smell. It destroys your sense of smell. So once you've got used to it, you don't smell it anymore. And that's why when you have that, you really, really need to turn it off, because mold can be absorbed through the skin, contact bed, sheets, clothes, from air spores. You can breathe it in. It can be in your eyes, eye infections. Areas of low oxygen and low airflow are prone for mold infestation. Again, if you go back to the fertile ground, if you have dry mucous membranes, perfect. They love that, to settle in and then dig deep and then start building up mold spores within your mucous membranes. It's very toxic and it turns off your body's detox pathways. So what do we do? First of all, you need to externally get rid of mold, and that's washing with ozone. You know, we use the O3 sterile laundry to wash out. I have it underneath the tap. Even here in my van, I have ozone here on my tap. I turn it on and I have ozone water fresh from the tap. It is amazing. It is something that cleans and sterilizes without any toxicity. That's exactly why. So again, on the blog, Chemicals versus Ozone, you will find there is plenty of information on the O3 Academy, and it's really helpful. Same thing, once you have it externally in your house and you've cleaned off your bed, you cleaned off your mattress, you cleaned off your curtains and your clothes and got rid of it, you still need to clean it from internally. Now, for those of you who have mold allergies on your feet, I had a lady, she came in, her socks, her shoes, her pants, everything, and it was like everywhere swollen up and infected. She developed a full-on allergic reaction to the mold in her place. So once she cleaned out, she had to actually destroy a lot of clothes because not even the ozone got it out. And you couldn't wash those big bed sheets, you know, like those big, thick, fluffy sheets. So we had to throw that all out. And then she had to do rectal insufflation. With her, it was 12 weeks, but it's all gone now. Bagging, she bagged her feet, she bagged her arms, her neck. It was really important. Used ozone oil on top of it. She had to clean out all her sinus from breathing in all day mold spores. It was clogging up the whole frontal lobe. It was really bad. So once you've been exposed to mold, all your other detox systems are slowing down, and it really makes your life very difficult. So number one, remove yourself out of the mold, and then do all of the treatments, vaginal treatment, eye drops, mouth gurgle, put it into your dental pick, the water, do your sinus treatment and do a neti pot, and then do the gas and ear, And do that for 3 or 4 weeks, and you'll see your whole life changes. It's not one treatment and gone. It's like layers and layers and layers that need to be killed off and that need to be eliminated. Yes, the webinar is recorded, and you will get straight away, would be recorded to watch it again. Yes, it is recorded, and I will afterwards download it, put it on the O3 Academy so that you can go through the whole thing again, and I'll put the slides underneath. Fungal and candida, you know, mushrooms, and in the wild. And it was, I had a very beautiful teacher in regards to cancer treatments for Tony Berry. And he said, Marcus, skin cancer comes as a gift in shitty wrapping paper. And that stuck with me. The gift in shitty wrapping paper is something you really hate, but it is worth its weight in gold when you understand it. Like a lot of people use Kanzema on skin cancers or on warts or on this and that, but then they keep coming up. And it's like mushrooms in the wild. You can pluck them anywhere, but they keep coming back. And only when you change the milieu in that area, high humidity, that little sunshine, acidic soil, nutrient imbalance, it comes back, it comes back, it comes back. So the treatments that they did and the treatments that they explained was just not working. Like he removed 46 of his skin melanoma and they kept coming. And I said to him, look, we need to change the milieu. And once you change the milieu, they stop or they don't come back. And this was really the biggest change. Getting that body environment changed was a big thing. And I'll talk about something very special in a moment, because I found that to be the most, in my case and in many patients' case, the big breakthrough. When you don't see healing as I have to do a treatment, actually in healing as I want to feel better. And how can I do that? Oh, and I can do this, and that makes me feel better. Actually going for a completely different form of healing. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So main problem, high toxicity turns off your body detox pathways in the same way. Now for all of those treatments, and they're usually directly in your sinus area, you need to use ozone water as a neti pot. And if you can smile like she does while doing it, I almost die when I do it. It gurgles, but it works. So you get yourself a neti pot, fill ozone water in, and then let the water run through one side and then the other. And then you take the syringe, fill it up with 60 milliliters of ozone gas on half-liter setting or quarter-liter setting. So don't make it too hard. You know, the quarter-liter is what they recommend in clinics, which is tough as hell. If you have an infection, it goes like bang, and you know it's there. A half-liter is to start with, because otherwise you might not do it a second time. Half-liter is 27 milligrams per liter or micrograms per milliliter. And you use that and blow it up and then breathe out. Do the dry test. Test out how to make the movement. You know, like deep breath, blow up, and then hold the air and then blow out through your nose so that you really get that flow. Just do it with normal room air and then flush your gums and then drink the rest of the ozone water and do that daily. It makes such a massive difference. I fill it into my dental floss. I have a little one, and I fill my ozone water into the dental floss and then flush between my teeth and the bacteria. It all goes away, and it stops parodontosis and whatever. So really, really important. Eye drops. You know, bubble ozone in saline solution instead of normal water, and then fill it into a little dripper bottle and then drip that into your eyes. If you have red eye disease, infections, glaucoma, cataracts, mold infections, red eyes, then that's what you want to do. No toxicity whatsoever. And you just drip it in 5 times a day, and it keeps cold in the fridge. So don't keep it in your pocket because the ozone disintegrates. It has a half-life in saline solution of 4 hours. So in 4 hours, it's only half as strong as it was in the beginning. So if you do it twice a day fresh, you have, or just rebubble it, then you have high potency. And that put it in and it's gone. You can put that into your ears. You can put that into your nose. You know, there is no better tool to heal the mucous membrane, the lining, that wet, moist, soft tissue that is releasing the snot when you have an allergic reaction. That's filled with white blood cells. And you want to prime that and maintain it and really keep it healthy. So that's why that use, again, rectal, if you can add that, it helps. But bagging, ear, sinus, mouth, and vaginal. So, compliance monitor, motivator. There is no such thing as immunity against bacteria and fungi. And let me clarify that. There is no such thing as immunity against Lyme disease. I hear so many patients say, I am battling Lyme since so long and it's not going away, or it's always coming back as soon as I stop my treatments and regimens. Yes, it will come back. Once treated successfully, they are dormant in your body, waiting for you to slacken your regimen. And when the grounds are fertile again, they come back. Once you understand that principle, it's not eradicating and they're dead and gone forever. They are thriving in an environment that they love, but they are dormant in an environment which they don't like. So what we do is we change the body milieu, and then they go underground and they sleep and they don't do a lot and they don't bother you. So keep that compliance up. And that's what you will find. That's why I always say it's not about healing the disease and then getting back to my old life. It's actually using the disease to get into a new form of life, which has more sunshine, has more oxygen, has more exercise. And if I take that motivation and use the disease in that form, then it's actually enhancing my life. It's making my life more beautiful. And that's what we want to do. All right. Viruses are different. We all know that. They're actually not even alive. They just carry a little DNA or RNA, and they can attack a perfectly healthy person as well. They don't discriminate. You don't need to be sick. How well you handle the infection, again, depends on how many comorbidities you have and how well your system can handle it. And that's where I will switch on a little bit about hypothermia and fever, because this is really crucial to understand. There are many different opinions surrounding viral infections. The one that is most common sense to us is that a virus programs you to better deal to a change of environment. It's a DNA adaptation process. And I will mention a couple of books that you can read on the process, which have impressed me. And when you go to a clinic like Klinik im Leben or the Arcadia Clinic in Kassel, they are anthroposophical clinics, which means they are based on the study of Rudolf Steiner. And Rudolf Steiner was one of the biggest researchers and seers and prophets 100 years ago. And he wrote about infections, about virus, about the development of childhood growth with the different fever bursts, and how each of the virus, like mumps, rubella, measles, all of those, you know, chickenpox parties, when they started at a certain age, you could send your children to a chickenpox party 5 years in a row and they didn't get it. Only when their system was ready, when their body needed that reprogramming and that change of milieu, that's when they got it. And you went through that disease and the body grew. Everybody of you who has children going through childhood diseases, what do they have afterwards? A massive growth burst, an evolutionary burst. They have a change of perception. They become grown-ups. They become adults. They develop certain faculties. And that is what this whole thing is about. So a virus is adapting us to a change in environment. And this is a very beautiful, let me put myself back out of the way. I actually should turn myself off. Yeah, so this is Viral Illness and Epidemics by Rudolf Steiner. There's a few books, and you find some free stuff on the internet as well. Really phenomenal. I found his teachings, and we have always that discussion. Sabrina always says, don't go into vaccinations. don't, we want to stay in business. And they've been eradicating everyone here. Even my 5 videos that I had on infectious diseases were all taken down by YouTube. So we don't want to start that and then be off grid totally. But it is a bloody interesting work to see what is done. And he predicted 100 years ago that the vaccination issue will be the biggest issue of disconnecting our evolutionary process from man. So very important. You'll find, if you just type in viral infection, Rudolf Steiner, you find all of those documents as well. Okay, Steiner-associated viral infections, essential for body, mind, spirit connection and the development of the immune system. With every fever burst that you have, with every infection that you have, you develop into a new being. So, rectal insufflation is the only treatment that helps you with dealing with a virus systemically. And that means to build up heat shock proteins, to build up a massive antioxidant level to deal with the infection fast and wisely. And again, I just put this here. When you start doing the rectal insufflation, it goes up into the liver. The liver triggers then or upregulates the NRF2. That is a systemic reaction. And I don't know if it's the next slide. No, but it'll come in a moment. No. Natural immunity. Where's my text gone? Oh, I have problems. Oh, it's loading. It's loading slowly. Does it load for you, the whole slide? I need to clarify something while we wait for this image to load, and I check the chat. Are you sure that you still see my video? BitChute. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm just uploading all my videos. Thank you for that. Rumble. It's a little bit complicated, but I'm at the moment uploading everything to BitChute. So then the videos will be all available again. But again, as soon as you're on those platforms, you become a target because they know everybody on those is avoiding censorship. So you see all the natural immunity. Okay, you see that. See, what I wanted to tell you, and Dr. Lamberto Ray was explaining that really well. As soon as you have an upregulation of those enzymes and your body starts to create heat shock proteins and onto pathogens only in that little rectal area, and then the cytokine communication directs that out into the system, all of a sudden your body knows what to fight. Your body knows what to address, what is an invader in your system and what is not. And that's why the rectal insufflation is the systemic treatment against virus as well. And that's why we have to go through that. Now, natural immunity against the virus means your adaptation to a new and changed environment is achieved. You have to have the infection in order for your body to evolve to that state. There are millions of viruses in the environment, and we know that there are billions of different viruses that we haven't even recognized as such. And when you're born, you have the measles virus already in the child program. You have the mumps, the rubella, all of those are already there, and they trigger at a certain stage of that evolutionary process. And when you go back and think about that, when you look at a fetus, it becomes a single cell, then it becomes 2-cellular, then 3-cellular, then it develops more and more cells and it builds a system. Then it goes through the fish state. Early stages of the embryo look like a tadpole, and then it develops the spinal cord, and then it becomes a reptile, and then it becomes a human. All those evolutionary states that we've programmed and went through are all changed by viral response and by viral action, triggered into the new form. And that's why Dr. DiMartini said it really nice, because a virus carries DNA and RNA, the close proximity to a kind and wise person will inevitably infect you with their kindness and wisdom. It's actually true. It's like when you are around couples that have been together, they develop each other's traits and take on certain attributes of each other. It is that viral infection that adopts us to our environment. And I couldn't find the image that I was looking for. We actually have a dust circle around us, which is 2 meters off in every direction, just by transpiration and sweating and breathing and talking, of all our viral load, which means we infect each other all the time. That whole mask thing is the biggest joke on the planet. All right. So natural immunity once you had it. Now, natural immunity, and your body fights every single infection, not bacterial, viral infection, with a fever. So it's like the programming phase. It's like when you put a chip into the computer and then you run a program, the fever is more or less the program. The fever induces many white blood cells into the body. They're flushed out from the bone marrow. The virus is getting heat shock proteins, number 70 or 71, and they then make that thing recognizable. I always put my virus with green hair. I think I have that image still coming. So they become recognized by the system. And then your body is actually dealing with those green hair entities that shouldn't be in your body. So natural immunity is when the fever goes up. Today, medicine is preventing you to adapt, preventing you to evolve, and preventing you to heal by lowering the fever. I know there's a scary moment when everybody says, oh, and when the fever goes too high, then we die and everything. The coagulation of protein, which means when your fever is too high and the protein coagulates like the egg white in an egg, and then can cause clotting and heart attacks and whatever, is 43.5. That's why clinics who do high concentration fever therapy, they go to 42. Now, we don't go near those numbers on our own. We stay at 40, 41 if we go up, and really monitor careful with a rectal probe, and don't go higher than that. And I think I've written that on the next slide. 41, just monitor that you do not go above 41 Celsius for an extended amount of time. Now, Dr. Mercola just sent out a paper, and it was from a German research study from the Hanover Clinic. They write it out as well. The spike protein, which is the biggest problem causing all this inflammation in the body, folds in on itself, whatever that means. I read that paper 4 times and I couldn't figure out. It folds in on itself at 39 to 41, which means that spike protein loses its power. And that's why the body responds with a low-grade fever of 39 in most cases. Some go higher. And I always say, trust your body. Now, this is me. I trust my body unequivocally. I know my body knows 50 million times better than any doctor, any research, any study, because they're all done with a purpose. I want to prove certain things. My body knows far better for me. If I go up to 41, I let it go up to 41. If it goes 41.5, I'll monitor and keep an eye that I lift my blanket and let the heat go out a little bit so that I'm not going above. But I allow my body to do the healing. If your body only goes to 39, then great. Your body knows that that is the temperature it needs. Don't push it up or down or go into the dome and squeeze, like until you reach the 41. You might cause burning or trigger the fever to 39, 38.5, and then pull the plug and stay in the dome. And you will see your body does naturally go to where it needs to go. For some people, the heat shock protein will turn off at 39 Celsius. For others, it will go up to 41. For me, 41.5, always. And I actually enjoy it. And afterwards, I feel like reborn. So instead of manipulating health and thinking I know better than anybody else, or I'm worried because the doctor said I shouldn't have a fever. Fever is dangerous. Not having the fever is far more dangerous. And see, since that study was published and it's coming out that the heat shock protein of the spike protein falls in, all of a sudden fever therapy becomes quite popular again. So it always is a different thing when you go through. So see the green hair on those guys? That's exactly what we need. We need to flag them with that heat shock protein, and then your white blood cells can help. This is the study that was published, and you can read it yourself, but you can see as soon as you have ozone-induced heat shock proteins, it causes a peroxidation of the infected cells and damages the viral capsid. It thus can disrupt the reproductive cycle of the virus, and the upregulation of NRF2 then, and then read, it increases all the different oxygenase, which is what we need, oxygen uptake and release, superoxidase, dismutase, glutathione peroxidase, glutathione catalase. You see that yourself. You get the slides underneath the show, but this is really, really important. So hypothermia as a fever therapy is a dream. And in my last email yesterday, where I finally put the link in, you find the last webinar. This is a massive, and this is, by the way, the research article that explains that whole heat shock protein by ozone and by fever and hypothermia really well. Okay, that's the newsletter Dr. Mercola has set out. What can you do if you already got the jab? Because the heat shock, the spike protein goes rampant in your body and doesn't stop. He was excessive sauna bathing and temperatures of 101, 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Do not do it without a proper control. You see here on that image, we have that rectal probe, the I Celsius. So if you have a sauna and you want to try out if your sauna can get you up to temperature, then at least get that I Celsius. It's in the shop under Hypersauna, and you can definitely test your body core temperature, because if you go into high fever like 40, 41, you don't want to have that unmonitored or with a mouth thermometer, which is not very accurate, especially if you breathe or drink something. You want to have body core temperature. Use that thermometer and you will find it really, really helpful. Okay, I think we've done it. hypothermiaacademy.com. So if you want to check it out, all our websites require a separate login. So you need to log in. Again, one of those TGA, Australia TGAs, like the same as in America, the FDA requirements, because we talk about treatments. The shop is then at Healthy to Be, because we can't sell the product on the same website. Lots of legal complications, but the Hypothermia Academy will give you all the videos where doctors explain. We filmed it in the clinics, and we filmed the whole process with ourselves, so you learn how to do it there. All right. Now, 3 slides, and then I check some questions, but they are really important. We are not trying to kill the infection. And this is something where I get mails. It's a male question predominantly. If I use 5 times ozone a day and I do all the different variations, sinus and water and rectal, and can I kill the infection completely? No. You are a package deal. Dr. Bruce Lipton says it very nice. Your skin and filled inside with cells. And about 4 or 5 or 6 kilos of those cells are bacteria that you need to break down your food. They extract vitamins and minerals and everything out of your system. So you cannot. That's why that whole wiping of shopping cart trolleys and hand wipes and hand sanitizers all kills your good cells too. It's the biggest idiocy on the planet that has been propagated through the news. Do not use hand sanitizers and sterilizers and all that crap. It kills you and your children and your immune system in the same way. So we're not trying to kill any infection. We are not sterilizing the body in any form. We enhance body function and create a healthy milieu so that your body can deal with the infection. Is that clear? I really hope. I would like to see a whole lot of yes, yes, yes in the chat, please. Good question. Oh, God. I hope somebody's helping me out with that. That's a lot. Oh, I'm having help here. Yes, yes, yes. Good. Let me see. How long are we on? 1 hour, and I'm halfway through. Okay, I'm really cupping the rest very short now, and then going through. Yes, yes, yes. Good. Thank you for that. This is, by the way, the same again, the study, the NRF2, and I'd like to explain shortly to you how it worked. Dr. Lamberto Re in Ancona in Italy, he wanted to know if he does an infusion therapy like major autohemotherapy. They took the blood out, ozonated it, and then tested the NRF2 levels in those blood vessels, in the flask. And then they tested, and unfortunately his picture is now over the test results underneath, but you can see it went up to a certain level. Then he went and filled that blood, you know, those 60 milliliters go back into the body. And then he tested inside the body and wanted to check if the NRF2 in the body had diluted or whether it had distributed into the rest of the system. And that's what they found out. They had in the whole body, you know, 60 milliliters tested with ozone, then filled back into the body. And then they took blood out of the body, out of 7 liters, and they had the same level of NRF2 in the whole blood, in the whole system. So that's why we don't need a lot. He called it a switch. He said it's not more helps more. It's the switch. I instigate that short oxidative reaction, and that's like flicking the switch, and then my whole body has that amount of ozone and NRF2 upregulation, and that then turns on superoxidase dismutase, glutathione, and all of that, and causes heat shock proteins on all the pathogens, on all the virus. So it's something that is like a switch. Even a small amount will do that. And that is phenomenal. I really, really do love that insight. They did it with blood, they did it with rectal, and the NRF2 was switched on either way, identically the same. It's on the website. You find how ozone heals the body. He explains his whole process and test. And that was so beautiful to see, because that a lot of people say, Marcus, how can rectal work in the same way as blood? Blood is only 60 milliliters. And when you think about, you pump ozone into your rectum, the blood flows by, you probably get the same amount of blood being infected or being activated by that amount of ozone, like in the sinus area. It's just two fine capillaries here. In the rectum, it's more contained and it goes into the liver, but you will have the same response there. Okay, that's the slide where it goes up. Oxidant. Okay, ozone kills all. Okay, all of these slides I had before. It increases blood oxygenation. When you use ozone, then the hemoglobin, you can see those little strings that are built by the iron and ferritin and transferritin, they hold on to oxygen far stronger and release it a lot faster. That process alone takes about 50 to 80 days for your whole blood cells, red blood cells, to carry more oxygen. So that's why I keep doing it. Once you have more oxygen, you increase ATP production. Because of the oxygen, you make far more ATP, cellular energy, than in a fermentation process if you have no oxygen. Again, cancer patients need ozone every single day. There is no question. It makes your blood more pliable, so it goes through fine capillaries. We said mold and everything sets in areas which are low oxygenated. All your fine extremities, your feet, your legs, your organs that have fine capillaries starve from oxygen. That's where mold and bacteria and everything starts growing. You need to get very pliable blood cells to get to those areas. That's why it works for people with diabetic neuropathy. It reduces inflammation. It heals your tight junctions. You know, right beside, above my head is that one of those little tight junctions. They hold the cells together so that no undigested foods and proteins and whatever goes into your bloodstream. Now, as soon as you eat food which contains glyphosate in any form, Roundup, modified corn, all the crap that they produce today, then you kill those tight junctions. Then bacteria and fungi and food particles get into the bloodstream. Your body screams alarm and shuts every other healing system down and needs to deal with what's gotten into the blood. Again, really important. Healing the gut, rectal insufflation will do miracles for you. And then it helps with detoxification. Here's the chart. If I move myself a little bit out of the way, ba-bum. Now you can see here the test results, control group. Then with the NIF2 group, you can see the last one, ozone and and blood activation, and it had triple the effects. And it's really, really fast. Okay, I think we've gone through dangers of ozone, 0.0007 danger. And I'm not showing that why, but it's like there is no risk in using ozone. There is no danger in using ozone, except breathing it in. This statement is true. You do not breathe in ozone. If you smell it in the room, that's not dangerous at all. If you breathe it in directly out of the flask, directly out of the machine, directly out of the hose, then it causes coughing. And that is very unpleasant. I can swear you only do it once and never again, and that's it. Side effects of ozone. I've written here that it vastly depleted antioxidant level of the body. This is mostly to do with bagging and ozone sauna. We've seen the most complications with ozone only in the ozone sauna and in bagging. Anything else is well tolerated. So if you have problems with ozone and you react to it, then really build up your antioxidant level and glutathione, take vitamin C, so that your body is able to deal with the oxidative stress. But if it's not a sauna, then usually you have never ever any problems. Contraindications, do I have the chart? Files. Yes, ozone checklist, share, so you can see the chart now and you can download that if you like. And okay, technical, before I go to questions, very short. When you go to the academy, the O3 Academy, you need to log in and create an account. Register your free account. You accept the disclaimer, which is really important for us. We are sharing information that is not supported by medical industry. So we need you to sign our disclaimer with that form. That's why it's been made, and you can only access half. Now, once you've created your free account on the website, you see all of a sudden all the charts pop up, all the research, the ozone concentrations, all of that is there. If you don't sign in and you don't have an account, you cannot see those charts. And you know, they are from Dr. Fiban Hensler and from many of the research institutes. They show you exactly, you know, for hernia, for different types of treatments, how they use ozone, in what concentrations, and what has been most successful. So you want to create an account to see all that. It's free. And then you have here education, really everything, how they use it in clinics. Then you have applications, which is what I talked about, rectal, vaginal, ozone water, bagging. And then we use it ozone for cancer, ozone for infectious diseases. This is where I will upload this video as the top one so that you have it. And for leaky gut and for cardiovascular problems, all there. And then set up, if you buy the Ozone bundle, how to set it up is all, and how to connect it and how to put all the things in is all there. And as a special, we haven't increased the price. We've actually gone $100 down. And if you order with bank transfer, you get another 10% down. So that's the maximum we can do. You know, shipping costs have gone through the roof. Our production is very minimal. They are sending us just small amounts, and we can't keep up with the demand. So it's really difficult. So free ozone oils and still free international shipping. And for those of you who don't know, choose the industrial oxygen regulator. If you don't have a medical prescription, the industrial is fine. It's 99.5% clean compared to 99.8% for medical. So there's no difference. Even clinics use the industrial oxygen and there's no problem. Just don't tell them what you use it for, because they are not allowed to do that with you. Okay? And now let me put the offer out so you can order if you want to, and if you don't have it already. And I will switch over to questions and have a look at what you wrote to me. A colonic or laxative dumping treatment before have an ozone insufflation treatment to be most effective. Yes, if you look, I don't like enemas. I tell you why I don't like enemas, because if I don't completely empty, I have backfired some of the liquid, brown liquid, into my insufflation bag, and I hate that. Then I have to throw them away. So I just go in the morning to the bathroom, to the toilet, and once I've been to the bathroom, my colon is empty. I have a very big discharge, and I know there's nothing in there anymore. So that's fine enough. If you have problems with constipation, if you can't empty out, then do an enema first and really empty out your bowel and then go into it. So that's definitely important for you to clear out. If you have a lot of stool in your colon, then the effects won't be with the membrane, with the mucous membrane and the immune system there and the blood vessels. It will be then with the stool. So very little effect. Okay. Beautiful done website. Thank you. You've done a lot of work. Yes, it's been a labor of love, and I thank you so much for sharing my passion. It's helped me. It's helped so many people. And, you know, if you have feedback, send it to me. This is actually our lifeblood. Getting information from you guys and saying, look, my eye infection, my sinus infection, my whatever has disappeared after so many years. It makes us feel good too, because it's a lot of work that has gone in, and it really, really works. We tried many times before to end of the year to order the power bundle for the clinic, but never got a phone or email reply. Look, all phone numbers come to me. Whoops, where are you? Oh, that's bad. You're jumping. when I need to highlight so they don't get lost. Every phone number on every website comes directly to me. If you do not leave a message, I don't call back, because I have 100 agencies trying to sell me stuff. If you leave a message and say, Marcus, I'm interested in the ozone bundle, I'll call back. I've always done that, and I can be reached pretty much all day. Well, I'm in Australia, so you need to do it America, your afternoon. And the website is always open and is always working, so you can order directly there. That shouldn't be a problem. A sauna for half an hour at 150 degrees Celsius, is this too much? We do not care about the temperature that the sauna achieves, which is a sauna argument to sell and to explain. We only care for your body core temperature. So that's why we use a rectal thermometer, and you put that up your butt, and then you go into the sauna, and then you see that the first half hour or the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on how strong your dome is, the body fights against it. Sometimes it even goes back down a little bit from 37 down to 36.5. Your body is fighting the heat, is transpiring and sweating to cool off. And then you break into fever. And that part is very, very, very intense. You feel that. And once you break into fever at 38.5, 39, and you are in fever, that's when you know your system relaxes, you relax, and you go into that fever state, which is then where the body produces heat shock protein and flags. So don't do it without that thermometer. Either order that. You can do that on the website. I don't know if I have the website open. And you go into Hypersona. I'll just post you the link. So if you don't order the dome, order at least the iCelsius so that you do those things safely. And comment, here we go, post it. I think it's there. Okay, so the sauna, half an hour ozone for intestinal cysts. Yes, certainly. Look, all your growth, whether that's little, it's all bacterial and viral cyst building. So you do the same thing, whether that's vaginal cysts or whether that's intestinal cysts, you use ozone rectal insufflation for that. There's actually on that Fieber-Hensler protocol, I think they go in, if they can localize it, if it is close to the anus, they blow directly 90 milligrams of ozone per liter, micrograms per milliliter, it's the same thing, onto this cyst to disintegrate it. So you can read that up, and Fieber-Hensler has reference links in there where you can read more in German. They really need anal probe Celsius. You've seen the link. If you need it, that's definitely helpful. Can we do insufflation into ostomy hole like rectal? Is that when you have a bag? I have no clue. I do not know where that ends up or whether that is still connected to the portal vein of the liver. You need to talk to a doctor about that. Try to reach out to Dr. Schallenberger or Dr. Rowan, or there's so many good ozone doctors that might be, or your doctor might know whether it's still connected to the portal vein. I will not be able to answer that. This is really annoying because every time I have a text and somebody writes above, it jumps. Where do we hear any suggestion if ozone could help lower or heal pancreasine from severe infection just found yesterday? Okay, I think before we go here into pathology, let me just clarify that. I'm struggling with pathology. First, the names. They're really complicated names, and usually they say the doctor has no clue. I'm joking a little bit, only a little bit. The problem is with pathology, we have always only 4 or 5 different diseases, which are given many different names based on where they are. High inflammation, infection, bacterial, fungal, or mold. Viral infection is usually systemic. It's not sitting in a joint. It's not sitting in your nose. It's a systemic treatment that reprograms all of your body, all of your cells. So that's why when you have certain things, you have viral bacteria in a wart, for example, then it's, or in a cyst. So what you do in those cases, you treat them either with fever and heat, which flags them and then brings your immune system there, by creating a local inflammation, which you do with ozone high concentration in that area. Even with the high POI ozone oils, you create a local inflammation in that area, draw the white blood cells to it and start the repair and kill off. And the other problems that we have is deficiencies. Deficiencies when your body has not the tools to fight, when your white blood cells don't have enough zinc or selenium to kill, if they don't have enough oxygen to produce the hydrogen peroxide, which kills bacteria, fungi, mold. So it's always the same. Where the disease is doesn't really matter. The more I can get to that area, the closer I can get to it, the better it is. That's why I always say systemic rectal upregulates the NRF2 for your nose as well as for your big toe. How cool is that? That's why doing systemic treatments is always better than just doing local. But if you have toenail fungus, you know, to go through rectal takes a long time. So you treat locally as well. But don't come up with all those names that the doctor has given you. If you have inflammation, ozone will lower the inflammation, will deal with the causes that trigger the inflammation. Is that logical? Okay. I tried a dozen times before and end up the year order ozone power bundle in the clinic. Okay. You've written that before, Jerry, or I've read the answer the same. I'm not saying it, just wondering how solo without. Okay. You shouldn't do the hypothermia treatment on your own, especially not the first one or two, if I understand the question right. Get someone that has also problems and then do it for each other. You monitor for someone else and they monitor for you, whether that's children or a neighbor or a good friend or somebody that you can ask to maintain that control. Go through the checklist and have them look after you. Do that. It's actually something I recommend to all. If you work with a partner, don't put them in and let them sweat and let them have the treatments and you never do it yourself. Do the treatment for yourself, which means you have far more understanding what they go through. You realize the effects. You can share those effects with each other so much better. Find a partner to do it and don't do it on your own. I know there are people who do it. I have a friend. She's right now in the dome listening to what I say. And she's doing it always on her own, but she does it now 5 years. Every week or every second week. So she probably knows her body really well. And she's doing fantastic, you know, with advanced stages of Lyme disease and all gone back. Okay. If you're doing ozone therapy, make sure you remove the things from your body that can oxidize, like excess iron and fats. Take E and C vitamin. Yes. Look, I always say a good supplementation program, but watch out. You don't go to the doctor and put in a lot of vitamin C and then have at the same time the ozone therapy. You wait half an hour until the antioxidants have been used up, until the body has stopped the reproduction of the cancer cells. That is purpose one. And then you go back in and do your rectal insufflation to upregulate NIF2 and the production. Don't do everything at once. This is something I found, you know, we try to save time. Stupid. Why do a sauna and ozone at the same time? It actually stresses the system more. Do your ozone treatment systemically via rectal insufflation, and then have a beautiful sauna where you sweat and listen to music or meditate or do something else. That combining of things is one of our, you know, craziness in this world that really doesn't help. Okay. Question. I choose to have a series of ozone with UBI, ultraviolet blood irradiation, once a week for a total of 5. Heparin was used. On my way home, I had developed deep blood blisters on my tongue, erupted to my... Yeah, heparin. And I always have to say, it always depends on the doctor. Some use big amounts and then it causes those blood blisters. How can I say that? We all react differently. All doctors use certain protocols which they learn from someone. That's why I'm so passionate and adamant with our rectal insufflations. There are no side effects. There are no problems that can come from that. And heparin is a blood thinner, so the blood doesn't coagulate. So when you do a 10-pass treatment, they adjust that based on the amount of repetitions that you do. But for the treatment that you do with UBI, which is ozone and UBI, and then they do it so slow and they don't want the blood to clot, that's where problems like that can come up. Some doctors might have the problem, some doctors use less, but therefore they risk the coagulation. It is on those borderlines, it's like hypothermia. You can do hypothermia on a low grade at home safe, no issues. 50 clinics do it in that safe form every single day. And then there's 2 or 3 clinics that have an emergency situation, they have 3 doctors at hand, and they go for the extreme, taking you up to 42.5, 42.3 Celsius, borderline to heart attack. But they do that to achieve faster results. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's necessary. Rather do it more often, especially if you do it at home. Do it safely, do it once a week, go gently up. Same with your ozone treatment. You don't need to hammer it and do a 10 pass and really go borderline. You do it gently, you do it every day, and after 4 or 6 weeks, you have the same results, the same upregulation, and the whole body feels phenomenal. But it just went a bit slower. And that's where we stay safe, you stay safe, and the whole thing can be established as a home treatment without any risks. Okay? I hope that was clear. Thank you. Thank you. Truly Heal Power Bundle. Okay. Thank you, Simon, for putting the shop in there. Okay. Do we have any really significant questions that I haven't answered? I'm checking just at the moment. I have only a certain date. They seem to disappear. Natural immunity. It stops. I don't see everybody. Q&A. Oh, somebody put them all into the question box. From Ella, what would you recommend for the cognition enhancing brain inflammation, Alzheimer? Look, good fats, good oils, very important. I would immediately start out with the Neurogamma, which is a phenomenal treatment. It's near infrared into the brain through the skull. It helps dramatically. I would also use PEMF, pulse electromagnetic fields, for the brain. Ozone itself doesn't have a massive influence on the brain. It helps with clearing out the systemic problems, but it is not a targeted treatment. So for Alzheimer's disease, yes, it helps with reducing of inflammation and. So that's really important. But the direct effects on Alzheimer have been proven to be PMF and the Neurogamma. Cost benefit of bottled gas versus oxy-ozone machine. Okay. Oxy-ozone produces you unlimited oxygen at a low volume from 0 to 1 liter per minute. So it's a high expense. And because we have a lot of patients that can't afford to add that on top of it, they can get for, what is it, $150 here in Australia, $100 in America, a gas bottle from a local gas supply, and that lasts half a year. You know, it's a lot less expensive, and it's the same, and it works just the same, and the regulator is very easy to use. So cost effective is the gas bottle, far better. Convenience wise, you don't need to get the gas bottle, then you need to buy the oxy-ozone, which is more expensive, but therefore you don't need to ever check for oxygen anymore. That's the main difference. Brown's gas via ozone. Brown's gas is with that hydrogen therapy, which we bought 10 machines and gave them out to 10 patients and doctors and practitioners, and we did half a year, all of us, breathing, drinking the water, breathing Brown's gas, doing everything and testing before and after inflammation markers and all our values. We had no change. And I've always been very, very adamant that we do not promote products that have good research but no effects. And like Rife frequencies, they might have an initial good reaction, but I haven't seen a single patient being healed by Rife. It's reducing the effects for a certain time, and then it changes, the body adapts, your bacteria become resistant to the frequency, and then it stops. And the same with Brown's gas. We did not see any result. A few patients who had anemic, low iron, they had some better results, but otherwise we couldn't prove that it worked. And that's why we decided to step away from that via, in comparison, ozone has tons of research and has proven 100 times to work. You know, just someone who has sinusitis since 10 years or 2 years uses 5 sinus insufflations and it's gone. And if somebody's on the call, please say yes if that's the case. Yes, I will put the slides underneath the recording in the O3 Academy, and I will put it there as in the education department so that you have the slides and the video recording there. Protocol for high-dose vitamin C and rectal ozone. I think, look, high-dose vitamin C, if you do it at home, you can't go to those 20, 30, 40 grams of vitamin C like they do in a clinic. And if you need clinical advice, I'd recommend you ask a doctor. I know what they do. I know that they all do different values. So I don't really want to give advice on that because I'm not a medical professional and I haven't treated people with that. I know that if we do high-dose vitamin C in combination with ozone, we keep it at least half an hour apart. What would you recommend for cognition enhancing brain? Oh, that was this. See, you're writing above, so it's slipping down. Rectal ozone, which I miss Deborah. She was so good with questions. I've seen controversy among the top ozone dyes using oxygen concentrator, oxygen tank. Okay, let me just very short. Oxygen concentrators that you buy for normal households start at 1 liter, go up to 8 liters. That's what you normally breathe with Ardenne. Now, this is way too much for an ozone concentrator. We use 1-32, 1/4, 1/6, 1/8 of a liter. Tiny amounts of ozone are converted into medical ozone therapy. So you can't use a normal oxygen concentrator. The one that we produces from 0 to 1 liter. So it's exactly in the ozone range and it's made for ozone. It produces 94% clean oxygen, which is exactly what you want. It's the same as you get from the industrial oxygen bottles. So it's perfect to use that machine. If you have the funds to buy that, it gives you an added bonus to not needing to buy the bottles. Will ozone help with diverticulitis? Yes, yes. You also descending colon. When you there's 2 protocols that are done by Dr. Siebenhühner and Dr. Fiban Hensler. They flood the complete colon with 3 liters of ozone gas. Only for 2 treatments or 3 treatments. And I've tried it out myself to check it out. They actually empty the whole bowel and then do an enema. And then they insert the catheter and they flood the whole colon with 2 liters. So you can measure, if you set it at 1/4 liter, 4 minutes is 1 liter. So you do 8 minutes of direct gas into the colon and certain parts escape. So it's not that you have the whole lot blowing you up like a balloon, but it feels like it. And they do that 2 or 3 times to really re-establish a healthy mucous membrane in that descending colon. And it floods about that descending colon and the top part a little bit. But that would be the treatment that they recommend. I've listed it on the website. I haven't gone into detail because, again, that feels like it's a lot. So I don't want to get into trouble by recommending it to you, but you can always contact them. Go to Fiban Hensler to their website. They have a fantastic website. They have all the ozone protocols there, and you can do that. And then it's from a doctor and not from me. I've seen controversy among the top. We've had that. Marcus, Matt Blackburn. No. Need to look it up. Matt Blackburn. Copied. and saved. Okay. Oh my God, hurt. Say hernia, can ozone help? Hernia, disc. Yes, but that's a different form. They inject ozone gas around your spine. Perfect. Pain management, reconstruction, building of cartilage. They do that in knees. They do that in spine. That's a different treatment. It's injected in between your bones. I don't recommend you do that. I did my knee after the doctor did it 5 times, and then I couldn't go back. So I did my own knee injection, but it's scary as hell. And I've one time, and then I wasn't brave enough to do it again. Okay, that you need a doctor for that knows what he's doing. Okay, what is the last? I've not been able to get a straight answer to this question. Doing insufflation, ozonides. Okay, I think I answered, Larry. You asked that via email. It is separating by half an hour so that you don't interfere with the antioxidants and your oxidative stress from the ozone therapy. But rectal ozone does not put ozone into your veins. It just causes the oxidative stress that then triggers the reaction in your colon that produces NRF2 and. And what is the name of the doctor you mentioned for diverticulitis? Fiban Hensler. German name, only German. They don't have anything on the website that is English. It's always frustrating, but Fiban Hensler is the doctor that really has outstanding research. They're very famous in Germany. Contraindications with acute leukemia? No, it's not. Will ozone water help to reduce cataract? Ozone saline solution they use. So look at the ozone eye drops in the database, in the applications, and that's what you want to use. Does ozone help with diverticulitis? We talked about that. How frequently and what dosage of rectal insufflations are similar to a 10 pass? You can't catch up with that. You have your insufflation is daily, once, and you do that for as long as you need to build it up. I've done it personally twice a day just to check out if it works faster. Like I'm perfectly example for impatients. So I did it twice a day. It didn't change a thing. I guess you upregulate NRF2 and that's it. It's just, and then the body has its process to start the healing and everything. So I did it for about 4 weeks, twice a day. And then I gave up. Then I did the big one, with 3 liters for 5 times and found didn't change. Consistency is the name of the game. Just keep doing it. A 10 pass treatment will always give you a massive advantage. But like I said, if you have a doctor, do it 2 or 3 times and then go over to rectal insufflation and keep doing that so that you have all those healing results. Okay, wow. We still have over 400 people on the call and we've been going 1 hour and 35 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing my passion. If you have any kind of question that I haven't addressed that you would like me to answer now in this webinar, so it's part of the record, please write that into the chat or into question. If you do IV, would that replace rectal insufflation or do both? Yes, if you do IV, that replaces the rectal insufflation, except if you have leaky gut, then you need to do the rectal insufflation because it really triggers the healing of the mucous membrane. And let me clarify this really clearly. If you use ozone in your sinus, then it heals your sinus mucous membrane. It's a slimy membrane, multi-layered, that all your immune system lives in the mucous membranes, in the gut mucous membrane, in the sinus mucous membrane, even in the ears, in your mouth, that wet. That's why you take your how do you call it? Bach flower therapies and everything in your mouth, and it's immediately absorbed. The mucous membrane is the filter between the outside world and the inside world, where it's close, lots of blood vessels. And because it's the filter, that's where the immune system lives. So when you start using sinus, you clean and repair your sinus. You will smell better. You will have better absorption of oxygen. Your immune system is more vibrant in that area. So it's a good thing to do. The same when women use vaginal insufflation, it's a topical treatment in a mucous membrane. So vaginal dryness goes away. They have less infections. You know, the whole thing is a repair of mucous membrane. Now, if you do a rectal insufflation, you repair leaky gut. And that is why it is so effective in that area and why they use it for children with ADHD and autism and all of that, because that is one of the big problems that we found always associated with those diseases. The gut membrane has been destroyed. And look, if you eat any GMO or any sprayed veggies from the supermarket, you absorb that ongoing every single day. And that means your gut can never really heal. So working with ozone and changing over to an organic diet and leaving all those sprayed things away will make a massive difference. Do we have some new? Does rectal ozone heal or prevent colon pulpus? Is that, I don't know what that is. I would need to look that up. Colon pulpus, is that when the colon comes out when you press too hard? I don't know. I have no clue. Do you have info on bladder insufflation? Yeah, for females, it's a lot easier. You use ozone in a syringe, 60 milliliters, start out with the lower concentration. The higher concentration work faster, and they do, let's say, quarter liter, 40 milligrams per liter, even up to 70 milligrams per liter, kills bacteria, fungi, mold instantly. So it really the higher, but it also has more inflammatory factors to your system. So that's why we, as home users, always start out with a low concentration, set it to a half. That's 27 milligrams of ozone per liter. Fill the syringe, insert the catheter into the urethra, and blow ozone gas into the bladder. You can also use ozone saline solution into the bladder, which means you sterilize and you kill off infections in there. It is very, very powerful to do, and it works. For males, I have no clue how to achieve that. Probably some do, some know how to do it. I've seen big catheters going in the clinics, but I haven't done that myself. So, and I'm hesitant to try. So, but I think that's where it works. So again, bladder, females, gas is the most effective form. Ozone water, or ozone saline solution is the second most effective form. And then systemic rectal insufflation will upregulate your anti-inflammatory situation and your enzymes to make you immune for reinfection and getting it again and again. See, many of you know that if you have an infection like bladder infection, it's a reoccurring event. It's that they have gone dormant when you were good, when you didn't have enough sugar, when you have not enough candida, you know, those bacteria, okay. And then you stress yourself too much, you have too much outside events that overwhelm, you have a bad diet, and then it comes back. They have been dormant. You've never eradicated them completely, and then they come back. So when you use ozone, you actually, rectal, you change the milieu. You make your body hostile for reinfection. That's why people who use ozone insufflation regularly, they don't get as many infections. Their infections don't come back. Is there any similarity between ozone and chlorine oxide? My understanding that they use enema. Yes. I'm not aware. See, I'm very old-fashioned. Doctors do it. They use it in the clinic. They use it since 40 years. That's what we do. There's always a lot of alternatives and a lot of low-cost venues. I have no research about those, and I have no study about them, but I would think it does similar. I'm like I said, I can't give you an answer. Where did I have my questions? My God. Any opinion on ozone versus tuberculosis? What protocols would work? Tuberculosis is infection of the lung, and that means you would breathe ozone bubbled through oil and do at the same time rectal insufflation or multipass, because the infection in the lung cannot be treated with ozone. So we need to do systemic rectal insufflation or multipass or major autohemotherapy, and then fill the flask with oil, bubble the ozone through the oil, and just take your water flask. I don't know. We had in the beginning oil that were just a dream. Either they diluted with water, or what you get today at the supermarkets is just all crap. They froth up like a bubble bath. I bought at Costco in America that unfiltered organic virgin olive oil, and we could bubble that for weeks. It got thicker and thicker, and today it froths up like a foam bath. I think they just put more and more water in. So either you get a really good thick olive oil, or use the big flask, and then the bubbles won't rise to the top. But that's what you would do. You bubble 1 liter of oxygen flow. You set it to 1 liter or half liter through olive oil, and then you breathe what comes in through your nasal cannula. And bubbling ozonides is very, very effective. It's also very soothing. For those of you who've done the treatment, you will know it's super soothing. Okay. Can you do ozone wound burning? Yes, yes. It's really, ozone water is used when you have radiation burns. You spray with ozone water and then use ozone oil. It is super healing, especially in burn wounds, without scarring, so you don't get big scars. Very, very important. Zakia, thank you, Marcus. Love you too. I certainly do. Are there ozone contraindications with acute leukemia? No, I think we had that. Do you have any results with glaucoma? I have no clue. I have spoken with a lot of doctors, they use it, but I have not followed through how well the results long-term are. I would actually need to do that. And I will. I follow that up. I'm sorry, it's just not on my radar. It's kind of, you have such a focus on cancer or infectious diseases, and that's your world. So I will follow up and will get back to you. Does ozone help with osteoarthritis? Arthritis. I have to tell you, that's my personal experience working with 50 people. It's mostly related to inflammation from food sensitivities. Just, certain foods flares up. Osteoarthritis is such a significant, I know they use it to regrow the cartilage in between the bones. They use it to improve the healing mechanism and reduce inflammation in the joints. So it's used for that. But again, it was always related to inflammation flaring up, serious problems as soon as the food sensitivity is triggered. And so that's my personal opinion. And I would follow through and do a food exclusion diet and really find out what triggers that to become worse. And then you have probably 50% of the healing done. Found to be cutting the oil with cheaper type. Yeah, exactly. I guess, look, it has changed in the last 10 years. In the beginning, we had workshops. I bought any oil in any store, even the Bragg oil, and it didn't froth, and today it does. So either they are cutting it thinner or whatever it is. The oil extraction process has changed. I don't know, but it is quite frustrating. I think we've done it. Thank you all for staying with me. Thank you for joining me and all your beautiful questions. And we will do all the questions next time. Deborah is back on deck and we can answer questions more readily in between as well. I have problems with reading those tiny texts here at the side. but we'll do it in future, really intense, helping you to make the best out of those treatments. If you have an ozone bundle at home, this is like a whole home pharmacy against mold, against bacteria, against virus, against fungi, against anything, with no toxic side effects whatsoever. Throw out all your antiseptics and sprays and sterilizers and all that stuff, because you kill your own immune system. You kill your own self and your kids, and you make them immune. So go through a fever so that your body can deal with the infection, can fold those spike proteins away and get rid of them. You know, we need to take charge of our health. I can tell you one thing: medicine, as we once knew, has collapsed, and you can see that worldwide. It's mandated madness. And we need to really get back to the essence on how we can help ourselves without relying on an industry which makes billions and doesn't heal. All right? Thank you, everybody, for joining and for staying with me. And I'll upload that video now to the website and then send you all the link. Bye-bye. Where is it? Yeah. Bye.